emergency, please.
On February 2nd of 2008, an unknown person entered the Lane Bryant clothing outlet in Tinley Park, Illinois. The person was armed with a firearm and he forcibly led 6 people to the back of the store. 4 were customers: 37-year-old Connie Woolfolk, 22-year-old Sarah Savronsky, 33-year-old Carrie Hudek-Giuso, and 34-year-old Jennifer Bishop. 1 was an unnamed part-time employee, and 1 was the store manager, 42-year-old Rhonda McFarland. The perpetrator forced the 6 victims to get on their knees, where he executed 5 of them by shooting them in the back of the head. Only the employee survived because she shifted her head slightly before the shot, which caused the bullet to graze her neck instead of penetrating her head and brain. In addition, the shooter also essayed at least one of the victims. Following this, the unidentified killer fled the premises. The police received a call about the shooting at 10:45 a.m.
McDonough County 911, what's your emergency?
I've got a gentleman in Bryant with a gun. I need someone here right now. I'm the store manager. Now.
Okay, where is he in the store, sir?
In the sporting goods. Now. He's loading a gun now.
Okay, has he made threats of some
No,
sort?
he's got a gun. He's loading it now.
Okay, hang on. Do not hang up the phone with me, okay?
Yes.
Has he made threats? Has he...
No.
Okay. Did he say why he has
No.
Nothing at all? You just see him loading the gun?
Yes.
Okay. And you don't have any idea who it is,
No.
or... Okay, and he's acting like he's going to shoot, or what's the situation?
I don't know.
Where's the man at now, or what is he doing? Do you know that?
He's in sporting goods loading a gun.
Okay. Where are you at right now, sir?
I'm in the store right now.
Okay, and you're clearing the store?
Oh my God, he's shooting now. He's shooting everybody. Okay.
Macomb unit, shots fired, shots fired. County unit, shots fired, shots fired. Okay, sir. Okay, we're just on the way there.
He's shooting, hurry.
Okay, do you know if anybody's injured right now? Okay.
I'm trying to get down.
Okay, you go ahead and get down right now.
Get down. Get down.
Okay. Go ahead and get down. Do you know where he's at in the store right now, sir?
I can't find him. Hide. Get down. Oh, God. I hear another shot.
All right.
He's shooting.
Okay, I can hear him, sir. Okay.
Do you hear that?
Yeah, I hear it, sir. Stay down where you're at. And the police are there, but they have to be careful where they're coming in, okay? Just trust me, they are there. And don't raise your head up.
He's shooting.
I hear him shooting too. They're assembling a huge amount of police officers, okay?
All right.
Just stay where you are.
Officers arrived on scene and found the dead bodies of 5 people in the back of the store, along with the lone survivor. The village's director of emergency management, Pat Carr, stated that it was surreal. It was cold. We had a lot of people responding. It was one of the largest responses that I've ever seen, being here in 18 years with the village. The gunman was described as a black man with thick cornrows, a receding hairline, and 1 braid on the right side of his face that was decorated with 4 light green beads. The police appealed to the public for information and a flood of tips came in. In fact, the police continued receiving tips well after the day of the shooting, but none were ever useful. Tinley Park Police Chief Tom Tilton said, "We don't get the same volume that we have over time, but every once in a while people will call or they'll use the website to give us information. We take it very seriously, we look into it very diligently, and we're still hopeful that our community will still be energized enough to continue to use it, so we always continue to operate it." The police believed that the shooting was a robbery gone wrong, but there is still some debate about the motive to this day. During the investigation, the store was locked down and searched, but the store reopened after the authorities confirmed that the perpetrator was gone. A $100,000 reward for information was offered by Charming Shops Incorporated, the parent company of Lane Bryant. On February 6th of that year, Lane Bryant announced the establishment of the Lane Bryant Tinley Park Memorial Fund in honor of the 5 victims, and Lane Bryant even paid for the funerals of the victims. The Lane Bryant store was replaced by a TJ Maxx in 2013, and the shooting remains unsolved to this day. Anyone with information on the case can call the Tinley Park Police tip line at the number on screen. Click the join button to become a member today. Channel members receive exclusive content as well as early access to all my content. Faith Hedgepeth was born in 1992 in Warren County, North Carolina. She was a member of the Haliwa-Saponi Native American tribe. Within a year of Faith's birth, her parents divorced as a result of her father's drug problem, and she was raised by her mother, with additional help from Faith's older sister. In high school, Faith was an honor student who participated in cheerleading and multiple extracurricular organizations. She performed well in her classes and earned a Gates Millennium Scholarship to attend the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Her father had attended the same university but dropped out. Faith was determined to not follow in her father's footsteps and instead to become the first member of her family to graduate college. She was also considering graduate studies to become either a pediatrician or teacher. Her first 2 years at college went well, and she took the spring 2012 semester off. She stayed in the Chapel Hill area during summer vacations, where she lived in an off-campus apartment located on the border between Durham County and Orange County. She planned on moving to another apartment after her financial aid for the fall semester became available. Faith shared the apartment with 2 people, her friend Karina Rosario and Karina's boyfriend Eric Decoy Jones. Eric and Karina's relationship was abusive and toxic, which led to Karina ending the relationship and forcing Eric to move out. However, in early July of 2012, Eric attempted to break into the apartment on 2 separate occasions. Faith drove Karina to the courthouse in order to obtain a protective order against Eric. According to those who knew the trio, Eric resented Faith's influence on Karina, and he threatened to murder Faith during a phone call at one point. On September 6th of 2012, beginning at around 5:45 p.m., Faith attended an event hosted by the historically Native American Alpha Pi Omega sorority. She left at 7:15, saying that she had to work on a paper about the history of her tribe. Along with Karina, she went to the university's Davis Library in order to study. Between 8:30 and 9 o'clock, Faith exchanged text messages with her father about her hopes of joining the sorority. Faith left the library briefly, then returned at 11:30 p.m., after which the pair returned to their apartment. They arrived home at midnight and left again about 30 minutes later, going to a nightclub in downtown Chapel Hill called The Thrill. The Thrill was known for admitting customers under the age of 21 in order to dance. While there, Karina had an upset stomach and told Faith that she wanted to leave. Surveillance footage at the nightclub showed the pair leaving at 2:06 a.m., and this was the last visual record of Faith. By 3 a.m., the pair had returned to their apartment, and a downstairs neighbor who was watching TV at the time reported hearing 3 thumping noises from their unit. She described the noises as similar to a heavy bag being dropped or maybe furniture being overturned. Faith's Facebook account was also accessed around this time. At 3:40 a.m., a text was sent from Faith's phone to an ex-boyfriend of Karina, Brandon Edwards, saying, "Hey B, can you come over here please? Karina needs you more, AHA. You know, please let her know you care." 3 minutes later, Faith's phone sent a message with only the word "than," which is believed to be a correction of the AHA in the original message. At 4:16 a.m., Brandon sent a reply asking who was texting him from Faith's phone. Karina's phone records showed that she was trying to call Brandon at around the same time, but he did not answer. After this, she tried to call Jordan McCrary, a soccer player at the university she was acquainted with. Karina later stated that she had believed Faith was asleep in her room at that time. She also left the apartment door unlocked. Jordan drove Karina to the home of another acquaintance in Chapel Hill, and they arrived at around 4:30 a.m. Karina spent the rest of the night at the acquaintance's house. At around 10:30 a.m., she started trying to arrange for a ride home. She began by calling Faith, who did not respond. She called another friend instead, Marisol Rangel, who drove Karina back home. They arrived at the apartment at around 11 a.m., after which they entered the building and called out to Faith. They received nothing but silence. They entered Faith's bedroom, where they found her bloody corpse wrapped in a quilt, partially nude. They immediately called the police to report their discovery.
I just walked into my apartment and my friend was just like, she's unconscious.
Okay, you say your friend is unconscious?
She's unconscious. I just walked in the apartment and there looks like there's blood everywhere.
Listen to me. Listen to me. Somebody's already sending the ambulance. Don't touch anything, okay? You just sit down.
I'm not touching anything.
Okay. I just want you to sit down because the police and the medics are going to be there. They're coming just as fast as they can, all right?
Okay.
You just stay on the phone with me.
Police collected samples of semen from the crime scene, which they used to develop a DNA profile of the killer. This profile was consistent with DNA samples from other parts of the apartment. The autopsy determined that Faith had been killed by blunt force trauma to the head, most likely caused by an empty rum bottle that was found in the apartment. The police learned of Eric's violent history, which prompted him to become the main suspect. They also discovered that the previous night, at around 6 p.m., Eric had texted an acquaintance asking for forgiveness for what I am about to do. He then posted the same message on his Twitter feed, and 3 days later he changed the banner of his Facebook page to read, "Dear Lord, forgive me for all my sins and the sins I may commit today. Protect me from the girls who don't deserve me and the ones who wish me dead today." The police wanted a DNA sample from Eric to compare to the profile of the killer, and he eventually complied with their request. Eric's DNA was not a match for the killer, and he was subsequently ruled out as a suspect. The authorities also tested DNA samples from Brandon, as well as several other men who had been at the Thrill on the night in question, but none of the samples matched. Within a few days, a $29,000 reward was being offered for information in the case. In November, the university student newspaper petitioned a judge to release an early search warrant in the case, but the judge instead resealed it for another 45 days. In January, the police announced that they, along with the FBI, had created a profile of the killer. According to the profile, he most likely lived near Faith at some point in her life, had expressed romantic interest in her, his behavior patterns had likely changed after the murder, and he was most likely exhibiting great interest in the investigation. Following the announcement of the killer's profile, the town petitioned the court to keep their warrant sealed, and in May of 2013, the court extended the seal for another 60 days. In September of that year, Chapel Hill police requested the help of the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation. Despite their efforts, no new information was coming in and no suspects had been identified. In March of 2014, 3 media outlets banded together to oppose the district attorney's extension of the 60-day seal. An attorney with Tar Heel stated that 18 months goes by and no one's been charged and no one's been arrested. The public has the right to assume the trail has gone cold, or it's not being investigated in a diligent manner. The district attorney argued that they couldn't unseal the records without jeopardizing the investigation. The next month, a reporter named Chelsea Delaney wrote an article speculating about the real purpose of the seal. She argued that records were sealed to cover up the fact that the Chapel Hill police had botched the early days of the investigation due to incompetence. She noted that after 2 months of the investigation, no new search warrants had been sought, indicating that the authorities were not doing their job properly. Furthermore, Chelsea spoke to some of the neighbors who lived in and around the apartment building. According to various neighbors, they had suspected domestic violence for a long time, and they initially believed the police presence on the morning after Faith's murder had been due to that violence. 2 neighbors also reported that the police had only searched the apartment where Faith and Karina lived, rather than the entire building. They also failed to search the woods behind the apartment building. The police also never canvassed the neighborhood, in addition to leaving Faith's car unsecured during the investigation. Some of the neighbors also stated that the investigators with the State Bureau of Investigation were far more competent than the local police. Chelsea proceeded to speak with the owner of a towing company in downtown Chapel Hill. The company had a contract with the Thrill nightclub, and they had set up a system of security cameras in the parking lot that may have recorded crucial footage of the night in question. However, the police did not request this footage until 19 months after the murder, and by that time the footage had already been recorded over. In July of 2014, the court ordered the records to be unsealed, which is how we know about the timeline of events, the 911 call, and the text messages in the early hours of the morning. In 2017, a reporter named Tom Gasparoli wrote the following about the 911 call. To me, the whole call reeks of unusual. Tom posited the hypothesis that Karina's friend, Marisol, had been the caller despite the caller identifying themselves as Karina. The caller also never used Faith's name, which struck Tom as very strange. He also pointed out that it was odd for the caller to be so averse to touching Faith's body, even to check for a pulse. Tom speculated that the caller may not have called 911 immediately, but waited for some unknown reason. Among the evidence at the crime scene, there was a note left near Faith's body that read, "I'm not stupid, bitch, jealous." It had been written on a section of white paper bag consistent with restaurant takeout bags. It is unclear whether or not the authorities ever had the handwriting analyzed, but an expert named Peggy Walla examined photos of the note. According to Peggy, the lack of blood on the note suggested that it was either written away from the crime scene or before the murder. She also thinks it is possible that the killer wrote the note with their non-dominant hand in an effort to disguise their handwriting. Tom Gasparoli has stated that it's also possible the note had multiple writers and the words may have been written out of order. According to Tom, the word stupid looked as if it had been written separately from the rest of the note, and the style of writing used for that particular word suggested either a female author or a calm and intelligent one. Finally, Tom wondered about the purpose of the note. He speculated that the killer may have left it as a means of confusing investigators, as it seemed to have no apparent purpose. On the night of the murder, Faith's phone pocket-dialed a friend and accidentally recorded a conversation between Faith, a man, and a woman. The conversation was time-stamped at 1:23 a.m. when Faith and Karina were at the nightclub. An audio expert named Arlo West was able to enhance the audio. According to Arlo, he could hear Faith crying for help while the female says, "I think she's dying," and the male says, "Do it anyhow." This exchange occurs after a conversation in which the female gets progressively angrier. Arlo also stated that the male and female used the names Eric and Rosie. This has led many people to conclude that the recorded conversation had actually captured Faith's death. The recording was submitted to the police, who disagreed with that conclusion. Background music in the recording, in addition to the timestamp, suggested that it was captured in the nightclub. They also stated that the recording's metadata further refuted the notion that it was of Faith's death. Arlo rebutted the police findings, stating that the background music may not have actually been music, but random sounds. He also stated that a software issue common in the type of phone that Faith owned could have given inaccurate timestamps. Finally, there were no background sounds like clinking glasses or other people talking, which you would expect from a nightclub. On September 23rd of 2016, Chapel Hill police released an image that was generated by Parabon Nanolabs of the suspect who had left semen at the crime scene. The image was based entirely on the phenotype in the DNA profile, which suggested a very strongly Native American and European mixed ancestry or Latino. Most of the genetic markers indicated Mexican, Colombian, and Iberian descent. Parabon also believed that the suspect had olive-colored skin with very few freckles and black hair. On September 16th of 2021, the Chapel Hill Police Department arrested 28-year-old Miguel Salguero Olivares for first-degree murder in Faith's case. He had been identified through DNA testing after being arrested for drunk driving. In January of 2022, the authorities confirmed that the DNA at the crime scene, as well as the palm print on the murder weapon, both matched Miguel. In November of 2024, the police announced that they had added charges of first-degree burglary, first-degree, and first-degree sexual offense. As of the time I'm writing this video, Miguel was being held at the Durham County Jail without bond.